folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to Look Back. This is where we take a look back at the reviews I did a year, 5 years, and 10 years ago. And I'll tell you if anything has changed and kind of just take a look at these games as time goes by. So we're going to start back with a year ago. A year ago I reviewed Kings of Mithril, which is just one of the worst games I played. It was just awful as you're moving around a board and you land on a spot. It's kind of like it was kind of like someone played Monopoly and wanted to then you go through and tunnel and find things and then make those spots so if people land on them you get stuff and it just doesn't work. Bad components, bad rules, bad. Then there's Monarch. Now Monarch has been getting a lot of love and I do appreciate the fact that they tried to really make the game interesting and unique and flavorful and very gender friendly, but the game itself was kind of just very boring. And that's unfortunate as you get different resources and different powers and play cards. And that sounds like it might normally be an interesting game, but Monarch, it just kind of all fell apart. Candy Chaser. This is a game from Yellow. This is kind of like, which candy am I doing? Everyone's trying to bluff. I don't know that it would be as great for adults, but for kids, it works really well. Then we have Alan's Adventureland. I'm docking this one a little bit more because, I've never gone back to it, but it's a set collection game about an amusement park. That's great. There's some really cool things. It's just that the game is slightly fiddlier than it needs to be. The components are slightly worse than they need to be, but I love the theme. Hate the name, but love the theme. A really interesting idea, but it comes down to just collecting a bunch of water slides and roller coaster cards. Alan's Adventureland. Aqualea. This is a worker placement game which has some really cool ideas as you put people around the board and trying to get different houses, and you do so by fighting on chariot races and gladiator fights. Really cool, but there's a good chunk of luck and you can really get kind of cut out of the game, so not as good as it probably could have been, but it's decent, I guess is the best word I can give for it. Heroes. This is a real-time dice rolling game, which sounds pretty bad. Honestly, they could have cut the real-time out of it, as you roll dice and then use the different combinations on those dice to summon creatures or activate creatures to then attack your opponent. Think almost of Magic the Gathering, but you're using dice to activate the different creatures. Then we have Rum and Bones, the hero packs. These are the extra figures for Rum and Bones. Of course, I like Rum and Bones, so I was glad to see the hero packs. Under the Mask. This is I believe, the fourth module for Time Stories. You'll notice that my rating on this has dipped slightly, not much, but Under the Mask is just not one of my favorite games in this. I mean, it's probably my least favorite module. It's still very good, still very entertaining, but when you say, remember all this stuff that happened in Under the Mask, I'll be like, oh, yeah. But it feels the most mundane of all the adventures. So, there's that. But still, I liked it because it's Time Stories. Formula D. Me and Jason took a look at this last year. This is a racing game where you roll dice. It's a classic game. It was started out as Formula Day, but Formula D, they're revamping from Asmodee. Really great game. You roll dice depending what gear you're in. There's not perfect, but there's a lot of fun to it. And Jason, I also took a look at Dwarves Incorporated. If it wasn't for the components, Dwarves Incorporated would probably even get a higher rating. This is kind of like an updated version of Through the Desert as you're placing different things down in this gem area as you're moving these gem things along, trying to get different tiles, trying to score points. It's a really good game. And then Jason and I took a look at Carson City, which is a fantastic game in my collection. Love it. A Western. It's right. I thought it was right behind me. But anyway, it's somewhere around here. A worker placement game in which you are building this Western town and you can fight with each other. It's a little bit mean going on. So much variety in the anniversary edition from Quidditch. I love it. Carson City. So that was 1 year ago. Let's take a look now at 5 years ago. First, we have Hawaii. Now, Hawaii is one of my more infamous reviews where I did a joke review where I just threw it in the trash can and that was the whole review. Hawaii is probably not that bad. I really don't like the game. It certainly is a worker placement game or a worker movement game. It just was really boring. It felt like an accounting nightmare to me. I didn't like it at all. But I've met the designer since. He was really gracious considering my mean review. And he's such a nice guy, so go buy it anyway. Then we have Zip Zap. Zip Zap, which a kid game where you're playing cards as quickly as you can. Wasn't really that good. Bling Bling Gemstone. My kids like this one more than me, where you're using an axe to knock stuff off a tree, except in this case, it's not a tree, it's some weird bling bling, whatever. It's a dexterity game where you try to knock some stuff off, but not too much. High School Drama. This is a game about, well, high school drama. It doesn't have the... It's kind of that thing where it's like, really? Are we playing this? But the game itself is not that bad. It's not bad at all, actually. It's good. You're just playing cards and trying to put the right people together, get the right people in your cliques. It's just probably the theme a lot of people will not like about it. Eclipse. Yeah, I dropped my rating on this one too. I think Eclipse is fine, but you know what? I haven't played it since I did this review, I think. I know there's an expansion out there people say makes the game that much better, but I played Exodus Proxima Centauri, and that does what I like better. I have a hard time with the tech tree in Eclipse. The techs are available if you draw them from a bag. The victory point chips, which I think are pretty strong, are also randomly drawn from a bag. The game just is not exactly where I want to be, but there's a lot of really great things about it. I tend to like Space 4X games, so I'm not saying the game is bad. It's just not as good for me. Let's see. Then we are at The Big Idea. This is a game from James Ernest, where you are basically trying to sell weird things to other people, and you have to do so. It's like a party-style game. There's a lot of these games out there. This is one of my favorite in that genre. And then we have Debonair. Debonair is a game I really enjoy, as you're trying to kind of guess which things are going to end. So you're kind of placing your bets on which cards will be played in what area. You having different cards for the areas, you can kind of control it to some degree, and you're using a little bit of probability and logical thinking. I really enjoy it. Theme's okay, but I love the game itself. And then finally, Yinch. Yinch is a abstract strategy game, which I find amazingly fun. It's only gotten better as the years go by. We're trying to get 5 in a row, but you're doing so by moving pieces around the board, blocking them, jumping pieces over, and then they flip to the other color. The favorite of the GIF series for me, Yinch. 10 years ago, I took a look at Trendsetters, which is a game that's kind of based on a What Were You Thinking game of Richard Garfield, where everyone has to pick the same things, but too small, not enough there, very derivative. Fagins Gang, which has an Oliver Twist theme, which is a really cool idea, but falls just short because the game was too long and repetitive and you did the same things over and over. 24/7, the game in which you are placing different things down. It's like a math game. It works especially well for 2 players. And Colosseum, which of course, since I played, I'm consistently liking more and more. Tasty Minstrel just came out with a new version of it, so while I like the Days of Wonder version slightly better, it doesn't matter. Both versions are great. Colosseum is a fantastic game about putting on shows and then trying to get the most people to come and watch your show in your Colosseum. So those are the reviews, folks, that I did 1, 5, and 10 years ago. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and this has been Look Back.